Friend, I want you to hear me right now with all the focus of your heart, because what I am about to tell you is not just another nice thought, not just another encouraging saying. It is a life-changing truth from the very heart of God Himself. While you've been lying awake at night worrying, while you've been pacing the floor wondering how things are going to work out, while you've been replaying every worst-case scenario in your mind, the God who never sleeps, the God who never slumbers, has already stepped into your situation. He has already begun to arrange, to align, to orchestrate every detail for your good. What you fear has already been met by His power. What you dread has already been answered by His plan. What you think is impossible is already being formed into a miracle. Right now, this very moment, God is already working out what you are worried about. I know it's hard to believe that when your circumstances seem so stubborn and immovable. You've prayed and nothing seems to shift. You've cried out and it feels like heaven is silent. You've done everything you know to do, and yet the problem is still staring you in the face. But can I tell you something? God doesn't need to announce to you every step He's taking. He doesn't need to send you a daily progress report from heaven. He doesn't need to explain Himself before He acts. Faith is trusting that even when you cannot see His hand, you can trust His heart. And His heart toward you is good. His thoughts toward you are peace. His plans for you are to give you a hope and a future. The enemy would love for you to believe that nothing is happening. He whispers lies in your ear that God has forgotten you, that He's turned His back, that He's too busy helping someone else to notice you. But the truth is the exact opposite. The God who formed the universe out of nothing is never too busy to take care of His child. He knew about this trouble before it even touched your life, and He had the answer ready before you even knew to pray. You are not abandoned, you are not overlooked, and you are not alone. The same God who split the Red Sea, who shut the mouths of lions, who made water flow from a rock, is the God who is already moving in the unseen for you. Worry is the enemy's bait to pull you out of faith. Worry focuses on what you see. Faith focuses on who you know. Worry magnifies the problem. Faith magnifies the promise. Worry says, what if it doesn't happen? Faith says, it's already done. If you could see what heaven sees right now, you would drop the weight of that worry instantly. You would rejoice right here in the middle of your struggle. You would lift your hands and thank God. Not because the answer is on the way, but because the answer is already in motion. Some of you have been waiting so long for God to move that you've started to think maybe He's not going to. Maybe the situation is just what it is. Maybe you have to accept that this is your lot in life. But God is not a halfway God. He's not the kind of father who promises something and then leaves you hanging. He is the Alpha and the Omega. If He started it, He will finish it. If He gave you the vision, He will bring the provision. If He allowed the trial, He has already prepared the triumph. There is no delay in heaven that isn't for your good. What looks like waiting to you may simply be God perfecting the details. You see, when you're driving down the highway and traffic suddenly stops, you can't see what's ahead. From where you sit, it just looks like you're stuck. But somewhere up ahead, perhaps miles away, something is being cleared, moved, or repaired so that when you finally reach it, you can pass through without harm. That's what God is doing right now in your life. You're sitting in what feels like a standstill, wondering why you can't move forward. But God is up ahead, working things out that would have destroyed you if you had arrived too soon. Some of you are facing a storm so fierce that you can barely stand. But I want you to remember Jesus never promised there wouldn't be storms. He promised He would be with you in them, and not just with you as a bystander. He is in the boat, speaking to the wind, calming the waves, working the outcome while you are still being tossed around. Your job is not to panic, but to trust. He is not pacing the deck of heaven, wringing his hands about how to fix your problem. He already has the solution in place, and he's steering you toward it, even when it feels like you're going in the opposite direction. It may look like you've lost everything. It may feel like every door has slammed shut. But sometimes God has to shut every door so you will stop knocking on the wrong ones. He is not trying to keep you from blessing. He's keeping you from the counterfeit. He knows that the plan he's working on will bring you into a place where you can stand strong, where you can flourish, where you can be a testimony to his faithfulness. What you think is a detour is actually a direct road to destiny. Some of you have been asking, Lord, where are you? Why aren't you answering? But just because you don't see the answer doesn't mean it's not already on the way. Remember Daniel in the Bible? He prayed and fasted for 21 days before the angel finally reached him. And when the angel came, he said, "From the first day you prayed, I was sent." Did you hear that? From the very first moment you prayed, heaven was already moving. The delay wasn't because God was ignoring him. It was because there was a battle in the unseen realm. The same thing may be happening with you. Your answer may already be dispatched, already on its way, already being delivered. But there's resistance in the unseen. This is why you can't quit praying. This is why you can't quit believing. The enemy wants to exhaust you into surrendering. He wants you to lay down your faith and pick up fear. But the moment you let go of worry and hold on to God's promise, you put yourself in alignment with the miracle he is already working on. You see, God does not operate in panic. He operates in purpose. If he has allowed this season, it is because the end result will bring glory to his name and good to your life. There has never been a battle he has lost. There has never been a problem too big for his power. There has never been a situation where he said, "I don't know what to do." He is God Almighty. He knows the end from the beginning, and he's already ahead of you, making a way where there seems to be no way. Right now, in the unseen, God is speaking to people you've never met who will be part of your answer. He's moving resources you don't yet have into position. He's shifting hearts, opening doors, closing traps, and setting divine appointments that you couldn't arrange if you tried for 100 years. He is not trying to figure it out. He's already finished it in eternity, and you're simply walking into what he's prepared. I know some of you are thinking, but you don't know how bad it is. You don't know how heavy this is. You don't know how long I've been waiting. And you're right, I don't. But God does. And not only does he know, he cares. He has seen every tear you've cried, heard every prayer you've whispered, felt every ache in your soul. And he has not been idle. You may feel powerless to change your situation, but the one who holds all power has not taken his hand off your life. Do you know what happens when you finally decide to believe that God is already working? Peace floods your soul. Fear loses its grip. Worry becomes unnecessary because you realize that your role is not to control the outcome, but to trust the one who does. It's like a child riding in the back seat of a car. They're not worried about which road to take or how much gas is in the tank. They trust the driver. That's what your Father is asking you to do. Sit back, trust him, and let him drive. And here's the beauty of it. God doesn't just solve the problem. He redeems the time you thought was lost. He takes the very thing that was meant to break you and uses it to bless you. He turns the enemy's weapon into the tool of your victory. The job you lost becomes the doorway to the calling you never knew you had. The relationship that ended becomes the space for the person he's been preparing for you. The illness that tried to take your life becomes the platform for you to testify of his healing power. Even now, God is aligning the breakthrough with perfect timing. He's ensuring that when the answer comes, you will be ready to receive it, ready to steward it, ready to give Him the glory for it. What you think is a delay is really divine preparation. Every day you remain faithful in the waiting. Every time you choose worship over worry. Every moment you speak His promises instead of your fears, you are cooperating with the God who is already working it out. You might not feel it. You might not see it. You might not understand it. But faith says, it is already done. Faith declares victory while the battle is still raging. Faith rests in the fact that God is not bound by time, and that what you are waiting for in the future is already finished in His eternal present. That's why you can praise Him now. That's why you can rejoice now. That's why you can lift your head and keep going now. Because the outcome has already been decided in your favor. And I tell you today, if you could hear the sound of heaven right now, you would hear the movements of angels, the shifting of circumstances, the rearranging of events, all on your behalf. You would see God's fingerprints on every detail, and you would understand that you were never forgotten, not for a single moment. That's why I'm telling you with absolute certainty, what you are worried about is already in the hands of the Almighty, and His hands have never failed. I need you to understand something vital. Your worry is not just a feeling, it's a signal. It's a flashing light in the Spirit that says you're trying to carry something you were never meant to carry. Worry is the evidence that you've taken your eyes off the one who promised to carry you. The moment you hand that burden back to Him, you step into the rest He has prepared for you. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Not maybe, not someday, but I will. That means if you will bring Him your fear, your uncertainty, your anxiety, your sleepless nights, He will trade them for peace that passes all understanding. A peace the world can't give and the world can't take away. The devil thrives on getting you to magnify your fear until it overshadows your faith. But the Word says, magnify the Lord. To magnify means to make bigger in your perspective. God does not change in size, but when you fix your eyes on Him, He becomes greater in your vision than the problem before you. That's why David could have faced Goliath without trembling, because he saw his God as bigger than the giant. Some of you are staring at your Goliath, talking about how huge it is, how impossible it seems, how heavy it feels. But I dare you to start speaking to your Goliath about your God. Tell your mountain about the one who moves mountains. Tell your storm about the one who walks on water. Tell your valley about the one who raises the dead. You see, the God we serve does not just work with what you have. He works with what you lack. When you've reached the end of your strength, that's when His strength begins to shine. Paul said, "When I am weak, then I am strong," because he understood that his insufficiency was an invitation for God's all-sufficiency. Some of you are discouraged because you think you need more faith, more resources, more connections before God can move. But He is the God who fed thousands with a few loaves and fish. He is the God who turned water into wine. He is the God who called Lazarus out of the tomb with nothing but His voice. If He can create the heavens and the earth out of nothing, He can surely take your nothing and make it more than enough. Stop thinking that the delay is a denial. Stop believing the silence means absence. God's greatest work is often done in the quiet, hidden places. Seeds do not sprout the moment they are planted. There is a season of unseen growth beneath the surface. You water them, you wait, you watch, but for a time nothing appears to change. Then suddenly life bursts forth. That's what is happening in your situation right now. God has planted the answer, and though you cannot yet see it, the roots are spreading deep, the foundation is strengthening, and in due season, the harvest will come forth. And here's something you must hold on to. The enemy will always fight you the hardest right before the breakthrough. He knows that if he can get you to quit now, you will never see what God has been working on. That's why the pressure feels greater than ever. That's why the nights feel longer, the days heavier. It's because you are closer than you've ever been to the moment God will bring forth what he has promised. The labor pains are proof that delivery is near. And when God delivers, he doesn't give birth to something small. He gives birth to something that carries destiny. Right now, God is not scrambling to figure out your next step. He's already written it. He's not negotiating with your enemies. He's already defeated them. He's not wondering how to make things right. He's already decreed the outcome. Heaven's courts have already ruled in your favor. The paperwork of your deliverance has already been signed in the blood of Jesus. Your accuser has already been silenced. The gates you thought were locked have already been commanded to open. You are simply walking out the process until you step into the manifestation. So why do we waste so much energy worrying about what God has already handled? Because we forget who he is. We forget that he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The same God who carried you through the last storm will carry you through this one. The same God who provided last time will provide this time. The same God who made a way when there was no way will do it again. Your current trial has not erased his power. Your present trouble has not dethroned him. He still reigns, he still rules, and he still has the final say. If you could see what God is shielding you from right now, you would drop to your knees in gratitude. Some of the things you're worried about will never even touch you because God has already intercepted them. You're stressing over arrows that will never strike, over battles you will never have to fight, over storms that will never reach your shores. His hand is covering you more than you realize. There are miracles in motion you haven't even prayed for yet. There are answers forming for questions you haven't even asked. That's the kind of Father he is, working in advance for your good. And I hear the Spirit saying to someone today, you've been worried about how you're going to pay for it, how you're going to fix it, how you're going to get through it. But you're asking the wrong questions. You don't have to know how, you just have to know who. If you know who holds your life, the how becomes irrelevant. If you know who controls your future, the when no longer steals your joy. If you know who fights for you, the what if loses all its power. You cannot measure God's faithfulness by the speed of your answer. You measure it by the certainty of his promise. And his promise is unshakable, unchanging, and unstoppable. When God declares something over your life, not hell, not man, not circumstance, not time can cancel it. His word is eternal. The same word that said, "Let there be light," and caused galaxies to explode into existence is the same word sustaining you right now. If he spoke life into nothingness, he can speak peace into your chaos. If he spoke order into the void, he can speak direction into your confusion. And I want you to know this. Faith does not deny reality. It declares a greater reality. It looks at the facts but believes the truth. The fact might be that you are in debt, but the truth is that God is your provider. The fact might be that the doctor gave a negative report, but the truth is that God is your healer. The fact might be that doors are closed, but the truth is that God opens doors no man can shut. Facts can change. Truth cannot. And the truth is that God is already working all things together for your good. Your worry does not accelerate his plan, it only drains your peace. Your anxiety does not make him move faster, it only makes the journey harder. But your praise, oh, your praise shifts the atmosphere. Your worship invites heaven into the middle of your situation. Your declaration of faith confuses the enemy and strengthens your spirit. That's why, even before you see it, you should start thanking him. Thank him for what's already set in motion. Thank him for what's already been handled.